What's up, guys? So, welcome to another episode. So this is going to be kind of a departure from the main build series. This is going to be a lot of smaller stuff, just like simple how-tos and things like that. So today we're going to be talking about cooling systems. So as you can see, I got here fan controller. So that's a big thing with cars like this. So we're going to dive into installing a Hayden thermostatic controller, and it's all adjustable and stuff. So I'll kind of run through how to install that, how to adjust that, and what exactly that does and why we need it. All right, so if this is your first video you're watching on the build, thank you, and I hope you guys consider subscribing, because there's going to be a lot of cool stuff like this. So let me flip the camera around. I'm going to show you guys kind of what we're working on if you don't already know. So this is my 1994 Toyota Supra. We just repainted everything, did all the body work, got it all wide bodied. So she's good to go now, nice and pretty. I did take it on its first test drive and everything was perfect. But to do the test drive, I had to have my fans going. So I just hardwired it pretty much, a hardwire ground, and then an ignition switch positive to turn the fans on. So this is the Mishimoto radiator. And I do have the Mishimoto fans on here, which honestly, like an honest review on the fans, they're not that great. Especially, where I was at in Okinawa, Japan, it was real hot. So these would get like, the cooling system would get real hot. These weren't able to keep up. So what we're gonna be installing today is the fan controller, which means this upper cooling hose needs to go, because I need to have a place to plumb that. And I have a aluminum radiator pipe, and it's got the bung, so I can put the sensor on there. So let me run through kind of the parts that we're going to be dealing with. All right, guys. So this is what we're working with. This is just an aluminum cooling pipe. So we're going to polish all this stuff up also, because I don't want it like this. I might even paint it, actually. I don't know. But so what we needed was this bung right there, because this is pretty much a coolant temperature sensor. So this is going to screw on in there. I'm going to use some Teflon tape so it doesn't leak. But this is going into the relays. So, this jumbled mess of wiring is what we're going to be dealing with today. And it's nice, they put the what everything goes on here. And, this is the Hayden controller. So if you guys need the part number on what this thing is, it's right there. So what this is going to do is, whenever this reaches a certain temperature, so you got your coolant in here, and when that reaches a certain temperature, it's going to click on this relay, which then sends power to the fans. And the cool thing about this is it's also got the wire for air conditioning. So when you turn your air conditioning on, it can adjust your fans for that. So you adjust right there. It's got a little potentiometer right there. So we just turn that, and we can adjust what temperature we want the fans to come on at, which is kind of cool. So that pipe is going to go in place of this one, and then the wiring, we'll just map out where we want to put the wiring. We'll splice everything all in. We'll do it all the correct way. I'm gonna start pulling this, set the camera up on a tripod, and we'll get yanking. All right, guys, so we got our pipe kind of temp installed. Let's just kind of throw it in there, so that way I can start messing with all of this stuff. So all the wiring is pretty simple. If you know anything about wiring, it's not too difficult to run a relay, positive, ground, and then, of course you're gonna have some sort of keyed ignition. So once I get all this stuff untangled, we can start kind of putting some stuff up. So black, predominantly, when you're working on cars, black is always going to be a ground. It might not be the factory ground. Like I think on this, it's white with a black stripe is the factory ground. But if you're dealing with aftermarket stuff, black is going to be ground. Red is predominantly going to be for your battery. And then yellow will always pretty much be for ignition. So your 12-volt ignition source. So you need to find something in the car that you can tap into that's not gonna mess anything up, that has something switched on whenever you turn the key on. So that's what we're gonna be looking for, and that's what we're gonna tap into. The rest of this stuff, so the blue wire is gonna be going to the fan, and then you've also got the green wire, which goes to the air conditioning clutch, which I'm not gonna be using this, so I can just cut that and terminate it. And then we've got the orange that's gonna go to the other fan. So, I mean, it's pretty easy, you know? Red, battery, black, ground, yellow, keyed ignition, and then you've got these two going to the fan. It's pretty simple. The hardest part is gonna be trying to find a place to mount this to where it's not super visible. On my last Supra, what I had done was I had mounted it underneath the car, and this one I kind of want to keep on top just so I can adjust it on the fly. I don't have to get underneath it and stuff like that. So it's probably just going to live down here by the battery, and that's going to give me the shortest route for all of my wiring. You know, this wire is going to be a little bit long, you know, for the signal wire, and I could cut and heat shrink all that stuff back up. I don't know if I'm going to do that yet, but all these other things, because they're, you know, they're pretty simple, I'll actually cut them and put lugs on them, and we'll connect them to where they need to go. So I'm going to get started on the wiring, and you guys can kind of follow along. All right, guys, so that's how you install all that stuff. I did, on purpose, do pretty much the main style of connectors that you're gonna see. That way I can break down how to do each style connector also. So we're gonna do that now. I'm gonna show you guys kind of what like a butt connector is, what a heat shrink connector is, and then what the like self-soldering heat shrinking connector is also. So let me show you guys kind of the setup that I've done. All right, so you see we've got our temperature sensor in here, and it's just going to go down to the relay box, which I've placed down here. Our ground is right here, and then these two are our fan control. Like, these are the power. I went ahead and did a 12 volt power. So for that, what you're gonna do is you're gonna take a multimeter here, and you're gonna look for power. So you're gonna shoot power, and you're gonna see if it has power when the car's in its natural state like this. And if there's no power, cool. Check, like, turn your key on. So, right before you're about to start, take it all the way to on, and then see if you have your 12 volt power. And if you do have 12 volt power, that's the wire you want to use. So I went ahead and tapped into that. And then ground, you want to do a good chassis ground. I mean, you can connect to the battery if you want to, but I'd rather have a chassis ground, or earth, whatever you guys call it on your side of the world. So it's either a ground or an earth. So we've got our ground going down here, and it's grounding out both fans and the relay. And then our power is coming into the relay. We've got our battery coming back into the relay, and then we've got our 12 volt positive. Now, like I said, this green one, I'm just gonna go ahead and lop off and terminate, because since we're not actually gonna use that. All right, so here's a pretty decent layout of the kind of connectors you're gonna be dealing with automotive wise. So of course, we do have connectors like this. I never want to see these on vehicles. These are not for vehicles. These are, you know, for wiring and stuff on your house. So I don't want to see you guys use those. These are the kind of things you're going to want to use. This connector here actually has solder inside it, because the best connection that you're going to get is when you solder wires together. And solder is just like it's a type of metal. So you're going to heat it up, and it's going to soak into both parts of the wire, and it's going to give you the best kind of connection. So this is pretty much a heat shrink. So you put your two wires in between there, in between the solder. You take, you know, a lighter or a torch. You don't want to get too hot because you'll actually melt the plastic, but you want to get it hot enough to where this starts to liquefy. And once it liquefies, you'll see it kind of spread out in between the wires, and then you know you're done. And you can do both sides, that way you get a watertight seal. So this would be the best thing to use if you're doing automotive wiring, because it's waterproof, the connection is soldered, everything's good to go. If you don't have those, you can use, you know, these little guys. So this is pretty much, you're just crimping. So you're putting the wire end in there, and then you're using like wiring connector pliers, and you're just gonna crimp this down. Don't do both sides, because what you need to do is one side, and then you'll take your heat shrink and you'll put it over it, and then connect your other side, and just use your lighter or torch, and then that's gonna shrink this heat shrink on there and give you a watertight seal also. So this would be like your second best option. Then you have, you know, your regular butt connectors. So these, you know, you can get at Walmart, you can get at AutoZone. You'll see these a lot on cars. Actually, the switch that I just got, it had these on the ends of every single wire. They're not bad, but they're not great. You're not gonna get that waterproof seal like I was talking about. So this is pretty much the same as this. You're just gonna put both ends of the wire in, and you're gonna crimp it. It's okay if you're doing like wiring on the inside of cars, on the interiors, where you're not gonna deal with water, this would be good to use. This is pretty much the same concept. So but it's, you know, it's a terminal. So you're allowed to bolt this onto things, and it's just a butt connector. One end of the wire goes in there, you crimp it, and then you bolt it to wherever you need to put it. You've also got, you know, your blade style connectors. So this would be like, you know, I've got another, this would be a male blade, and then I have a female blade, and I put them together, and then it's got this rubber thing on it, so it kind of gives it a waterproof seal. You can use these also. And then you've got these style, which are the circular style. So you've got these, you know, it's got a male and a female. This one here is a female. So you would put the male end in there, and then its little rubber connector would seal up with this. And this will give you that waterproof seal, and it's also removable. So if you're dealing with anything that you need to disconnect and connect, these would be the way to go. You know, if you're not hard mounting something, this would be perfect. You also have these guys. So this has a blade inside it, which you can see. And these, you can see that it's got a hole on one side, and then it's capped on the other. So this is if you're trying to tap into a wire, and you need to tap into it and run, you know, another wire, you need to connect to it. So it's got the blade on both sides. So what you do is you run your one wire, which is going to be terminated on one end, and you just, you know, squeeze it down, and it's going to push it down into that blade, cutting in through the rubber. So it's actually going to sit in like that. You crimp it down, and it penetrates only the insulation part. So you do that on both sides, and then you're now tapped in. So this would be your wire that, you know, runs the full length, and this is the wire that you want to send back. So these are pretty good if you just need to tap into a wire. But these are predominantly what you're going to see on vehicles. You know, what I really hate seeing is people who just twist the wires together and use electrical tape, call it a day, because, you know, you yank on that and it's just going to come disconnected. So I don't like seeing that either. It's not a very good thing. But you can use the electrical tape on any of these type of connectors just to give you that extra seal if you really want to, or if you've got, you know, a bunch of wires in like a loom and you're trying to clean it up, you can use this stuff. And that's it for the install on that guy. So it's pretty simple, really straightforward, as long as you can handle some sort of wiring. So, you know, red, positive, black, ground, yellow is your 12-volt ignition. You can pretty much hook up anything else on a vehicle using those. Your stereo is pretty much going to be the exact same. Yellow is going to be your 12-volt, your red is going to be for, you know, your constant power, and your black is going to be the ground. The rest of the colors are all for speakers and other options and things like that. But yeah, that's going to do it for the Hayden thermostatic install. Like I said, I still got to start it up. I got to let it run for a while, and then we got to burp the whole system, which I'll probably do another video on, you know, the whole cooling system, why you need coolant, what does the coolant do, and then troubleshooting, you know, what's going to happen if this is wrong and this is wrong. But I just wanted to give you guys kind of a little short install video, and you know, we'll do a review on all that stuff too, which I'm sure it's good. It's the most highly recommended adjustable thermostatic switch on the market is the Hayden. So, you know, a lot of people run it, and like I said, that's gonna kick on my fans at certain temperatures. So I'm not gonna be running around and, you know, things get hot and my fans don't come on, or my fans aren't on all the time, because you can run into tuning issues if your engine is just too cold and it takes too long to warm up. So that's gonna keep us nice and at a perfect temperature all the time. It's gonna kick on, it's gonna kick off, it's gonna kick on, kick off. But yeah, that's gonna do it for this episode. Real quick, just wanted to show you guys kind of an install video. Let me know what you think of the install videos. Let me know what you guys want to see installed. I've still got some small accessories that I got to install on the car. I think the next episode is going to be a turbo timer. So we're running an HKS turbo timer, and I want to show you guys kind of how those work and what you need to install those, you know, what kind of wiring harnesses and stuff like that, and what they do, why they're important, especially for turbocharged cars. So keep an eye out for that video. Go ahead and subscribe and hit the little bell. That way you guys are notified when that one comes out. And we will see you guys on that episode. Thanks.